Hello, and welcome to Martial Logic. I'm Paul Green. This is episode 6, covering some awareness and avoidance strategies. Um, and I want to give you a little bit of background on that and the reason that that we're covering it. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people talk about self-protection and different strategies and everything used for it. And with a lot of marketing and things like that, it seems like if you listen to these folks, you can't do anything. It just they scare the shit out of you, and you should be able to do stuff. Um, this thing is really easy, and there's proactive ways that you can do it. And when I decided to do this as a topic, I didn't want to just talk about stuff you should be aware of. I want to give you some actual tools that you could be proactive with in your life to avoid this stuff, and where it's actually applicable, that it's an actual, thing that you can do, that you can sit down and discuss as a family or a martial arts class or a civic group or something like that, and pre-plan this stuff to where, stuff's just not so crazy because, self-protection it isn't very hard. Um, when I say self protection, I mean all the stuff that you should have done before you ended up in a violent act. Because 90% of that, really to me is avoidable. You just have to have some common sense. When I really started to work on this several years ago, I was actually at a seminar for Hawk Hockham, and he said some things, and he told a story, as he often does, and they're good stories. They're very entertaining. But it said some things that really made me think about it, and it really is manageable. Originally, we did a print article on the blog called "Managing Awareness and Avoidance," and this is kind of the video version of that, but with a little bit more updated information. And basically, what he was talking about, and I'm sorry if I forget some stuff because it's been years and I'm probably ain't going to remember everything. Um, but you'll get the gist of it. But he's talking about being back in the military, and he was off in some foreign country. I think it was Korea, but it maybe that may not be correct. But and him and some of the other guys were bitching because there wasn't nothing to do, and his superior was like, well, you don't do anything anyway back home. When you're back home, what do you do? And they sat down and really thought about it. And if you really think about it, you really don't go that many places in your normal day to day life. I'm not talking about when you get a wild hair or something and, do something out of the ordinary. But in your regular, ordinary life, you really don't go that many places. And, when you think maybe you go 8 or 9 places, some people don't even go that many. During the regular, routine during the week. Awareness and avoidance doesn't seem that big. It's actually quite manageable. You ask the questions to yourself: who, what, how, where, when, and why. And you do that for each of the places you go, and you notice redundancies. Um, and a lot of the stuff's real similar, and it gets to where it's really not that big of a thing. You add in things like MOI, means, opportunity, and intent. The Gracies have another version of that. It's called like target, opportunity, and something else. They call it a triangle of violence. But we'll talk, more about that as this, monologue or commentary or whatever you want to call it progresses. Um, but the point being is that you sit down as a group, or you just sit down yourself and you kind of fishbone it out and draw it out as an exercise, as a tool that you can use to help make you more aware. Um, and you'll actually learn a lot from it. And I recommend that you do it. I've done it. And we'll talk about some different types of violence and some examples on how you would fishbone it out, or kind of draw it out. But the first one that I'm going to use is um, a bar type of a situation, more of like a social, violence. I used to bounce in a lot of bars when I was younger, and strip clubs and everything else. I've had to break up a lot of fights, and I've watched a lot of fights start. In general, they start, verbally, and somebody pisses somebody off, and everything. And generally, what happens is someone gets insulted or offended. And the thing is, when you're insulted or offended, you kind of feel like somebody stole something from you, and you commit a violent act because you want to get back what they took, whether it be dignity or whatever. They damage your social stature with a direct insult or something. You want to put them back in their place so you can assume yours. Um, is basically kind of how the hierarchy of that works. Um, but um, you know, it, I mean, it could start over anything. One of the things what I avoid, religion and politics, and things like that. But you basically look at it. Let's say you're talking about a bar fight, and you're going in there, and when you got assaulted by somebody in a bar. Okay, you ask yourself the question, because a lot of guys like to go to bar after work or whatever. It's kind of their weekend thing. I mean, I used to do it. Right now I'm so busy I haven't been anywhere in months, but and probably won't. It's December now. Probably won't be anywhere till probably sometime in March. I'm really really backed up and real busy, but you look at like, okay, who would attack you? Let's say you were sitting around and talking about politics, and it got really really heated, and you were in a bar like I am a lot of times when I travel and I don't know anybody, and people can be kind of territorial, when you're in those types of situations. But let's say you get to talking about politics, or you get to talking about religion, or something you really shouldn't be talking about in a place where you don't know anybody. Who would want to attack you? Well, the person you insulted. How would they want to, how would they attack you? It'd probably be pretty violent, pretty quick. What would they use to attack you? Maybe their fists, maybe a bottle, maybe a pool cue, a glass if it's around. When would they attack you? Well, frankly, when they had enough. And why would they attack you? Because generally you're being a prick. On their playing field. In situations like this, you put into that. You look at means, opportunity, and intent. Okay, they have the means to attack you. They have the opportunity to attack you because when they get pissed off, they're not thinking about the repercussions about it. Plus, if it's a bar that they frequent and nobody knows you, a lot of times they think well I'll just get kicked out, and I'll come back tomorrow and this asshole will be gone and I knock the hell out of him. And a lot of times they're right. That's exactly how it does go. So they have the means and the opportunity. So what you can do is proactively not give them the intent. Because the thing about means, opportunity, and intent, and we touched on it, in the last episode, Societal Change Delusion, violence can't happen unless all three of those things are together. If they don't have a means of attacking you, they can't. If they have the means and don't have the opportunity, then the violence still can't happen. If they have the means and opportunity, but they don't want to attack you, then they're just not going to. And that last one in that situation is the one that you can work to remove, and you can do that proactively. I'll give you a perfect example. When I travel, and I go into a bar, generally because I don't have crap to do. I don't know where he is, and sometimes I don't even have a car. So I walk to a local bar, sitting in there. A lot of times, I don't talk to the local people unless they talk to me first. At the same time, I'll do it like in a strange bar that's local that I'm not used to going to either. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll talk to the bartender. I just kind of keep to myself. People overhear it and they want to be a part of the conversation. They're welcome to join in. And, I've made a lot of friends that way. And like I said, as a bouncer, I broke up a lot of fights. As a patron, I've never had anybody attack me once because I'm not a dick. I don't, go in these places. I don't try to instigate stuff. The one going now, here in Alabama is the Alabama-Auburn rivalry. And Alabama beat Auburn for years, and In Alabama, some Alabama fans were dicks, and this year Auburn won, and so now some of their fans kind of get off on instigating and doing that. And there's people that get off on provoking you. You know what? I mean, in all honesty, they should have the shit knocked out of them. I mean, I would. I mean, why would you even want to be that way? But as I said, when I travel, that's generally what I do. I don't really talk to any of the locals. I'm friendly. I'm cordial. And then a lot of times, most of the time, somebody will start talking to me if it's a full bar. You're sitting right next to them. And I made a lot of friends that way. Um, and that's a good way of doing it. It's worked very well for me when I travel. I've been traveling, to different states for years, doing teaching engagements and vacations, and and some training for myself, and and I've done very very well wherever I went. Because I just try to kind of be invisible and just kind of blend in with everybody. I don't, I'm not obnoxious in any way, and that's what I mean. You're going into somebody else's territory, respect it. Um, so, like I said, they're always going to have the means and opportunity, but you can remove the intent. And so I mean, that's kind of the basis of that, and and I think it's a good idea, and I think that'll help you out. I'm going to go ahead and take a break because like I said, some people thought these videos were a little bit too long, so we're going to take a little bit of break, and we're going to come back and look at something that's a little bit more predatory, and some strategies for that. So we'll see you when we get back.